Hey, what's up guys? Eerie here. As everyone's losing their mind of wondering if it's a bear market or a bull market and bouncing back and forth at the same time buying NFTs to complete their zoo collection in the metaverse, we need to turn back time and look back at the 2017 bull run and look back at the lessons that some of us might have forgotten about and some of the new investors just may not know about. And that lesson has to do with, wait for it, taxes. Everyone's favorite thing. So back in 2017, in the bull run where people were making obscene amounts of money, the same that we're seeing now in 2021, some investors ended up having to pay the IRS $50,000 in capital gains tax, or even a whopping $875,000 in taxes. The thing is, they couldn't afford to pay those taxes. Now let me retell the tale of 2017 where everything was printing money. A glorious time. People were buying Lambos, yachts, girlfriends, and they were even smashing that like button below, trying to help my channel grow. But that all came crashing down when Bitcoin hit a high of 20K and began to retrace down and down. But that sparked the altcoin season going into January of 2018. We saw Ethereum, XRP, Litecoin, Nano, all of them hit new all-time highs. But as we went into 2018, they all began to come crashing down. We saw many altcoins crash down 70 to 95%. Bitcoin even went from 20K all the way to a low of 3K, crashing down about 85%. It all dropped harder than my Cal 2 grade after my final exam in undergrad. Winter had finally come in 2018, and it was time for us apes to dwell back in our caves. But before we can go back into our caves and hide, the IRS goblins came for our money. But I lost money, I didn't make money, screamed the apes in unintelligible language. But the sneaky goblins claimed, but you made money on your Bitcoin in 2017, and you lost it in 2018. We're here for the 2017 gains. And from there, many apes found themselves in a predicament from the IRS, owing about $50,000 or even $875,000 in taxes that they could no longer afford to pay because they lost it in the altcoin frenzy of 2018 in January. One Reddit user named Throwaway was working as an office assistant making $47,000 a year, and he bought 8 Bitcoin for $7,200. Damn. That almost hurts to say that you could buy 8 Bitcoin for $7,200, and now we're looking at each Bitcoin for literally $48,000. I wish we dropped that hard again so I can buy more. But those days are gone. But by December of 2017, this Reddit user cashed out his Bitcoin for $120,000, and as he put it, got caught up in the altcoin frenzy and put that money into a bunch of altcoins, which then sharply declined from the 120K to now 30K. Unfortunately, even though those altcoins at the time of his post were worth 30K, he owed $50,000 on his December gains that he made from Bitcoin. Another Reddit user even found themselves in a more unbelievable situation. The thread starts off with, "Did I ruin my life with trading crypto?" So we already know this is going to be juicy. This Reddit user threw $5,000, which was half of his life savings, into the crypto in the summer of 2017. From there, he struck gold a few times, as he put it, and 10x'd a lot of his coins, and basically took his $5,000 all the way up to $880,000. And like many of us, he told himself that once he got to that even number, that glorious even number, that he would eventually cash out, and for him that was $1 million. And him being at $880,000, he was so close, but then it quickly crashed. Now in 2018, from his post, he only had about $125,000, which obviously from his $5,000 is still an insane amount of profit. But unfortunately, since he cashed out in December of 2017, he triggered a taxable event. So now he found himself having to owe the IRS $875,000, but only having $125,000 worth. And in the case with both of these Reddit users, they cashed out their money high in 2017 in December for Bitcoin, and then took that money and put it into altcoins, which went into 2018's high of January. The thing is, they were on the hook for the 2017 taxes, but they didn't know, and they threw that money into altcoins, which then proceedingly dropped in 2018 of January. Even though it dropped and they lost that money in 2018, the IRS doesn't care. They go by year-to-year basis, and to them, you owe the money for 2017. It doesn't matter if you lost that money in 2018, unfortunately. Now, I bring this up because we're finding ourselves in a very similar situation, it being December and it being a bull run. While we still haven't seen that really big parabolic run that everyone's expecting to see at the end of 2021, we are still up considerably this year. Bitcoin has gone up from 30K to a peak of 69K. Ethereum has gone from $734 to a peak of $4,800, and some halts have even gone up over 100x. So people have made a multitude of gains this year. And the thing is, we might even see the same thing happen that happened in 2017 going into 2018. We might see that happening now with 2021 going into 2022 with a parabolic run. But unfortunately, people might forget about the lessons we learned in 2017 going into 2018. People might have made a lot of profits this year, might put that money going into the 2022 parabolic run if we have it, and might proceedingly lose that money and have to pay taxes for 2021. So what can we do from here? Well, first, let me just say that I'm not a financial advisor, but what I do is I put 30% of my profits to the side for tax purposes. While it sucks putting that money to the side and not letting it grow an obscene amount, it gives me the peace of mind that I know that I'll be able to have the money when I need to pay the IRS. Because let me tell you, with this 2021 bull run, the IRS is going to come for their share. Especially now that the government is actually focusing on crypto and trying to pass more laws regarding cryptocurrencies. But if you want a more accurate number than the 30% that I mentioned, what you can do is use the calculators that I mentioned in the descriptions below, and they'll help you calculate exactly how much you might owe in capital gains based on if they're short-term gains or long-term gains, short-term being taxed as income, long-term being taxed at a 15% flat rate, along with taxing you based on what state you live in. But now let's talk about how we can offset some of those taxes. And what we're talking about here is wash sales. Now, wash sales are a method of basically offsetting your taxes by selling the asset while you're down and buying it right back in literally the next minute. Because every time you sell, you're essentially realizing your gains or realizing your losses, triggering a taxable event. And by triggering that taxable event with losses, you can essentially offset those earlier profits that you might have made, and now you have less to pay in taxes for next year. You can just buy right back into the asset. So let's go through a scenario. Let's say you bought one Bitcoin at January 1st and you bought it for 30 grand. Then you sold at the peak of May for 64K because you're a genius. It felt pretty good that you timed the market, as you should, but then the market started going back up in the fall of 2021. Now, in fear that you might miss out again, you bought one Bitcoin at 69K.
Nice.
At the exact peak. Now, you could hold Bitcoin like the rest of us until it hits $1 million and make profits. But the issue is you'll have to pay 34 grand in taxes because you bought Bitcoin for 30K and sold at 64K, which triggered a taxable event. And the IRS wants their share of that 34K. Those damn sneaky goblins. And even though you bought Bitcoin recently at the 69K peak and now you're currently down 21K, you haven't realized those losses yet. But what you could do is you could sell Bitcoin at 48K, triggering a taxable event, realizing those losses. So now you've lost 21K that's on the books, and that will offset the 34K. So now essentially you'll only be taxed for 13K. And because you still believe in Bitcoin, you'll just buy it right back for 48K, but you still only owe taxes on the 13K difference. Now, this sounds like cheating the system or a pretty big loophole, and that's because it is a loophole. This is a loophole that doesn't really exist in the stock market with securities, because if you buy an asset and then you sell it, if you buy back within 30 days, it doesn't count as a loss. You would essentially have to wait 30 days in order for it to actually count as a loss when you sell it. But because cryptocurrencies aren't securities yet, you can essentially do a wash sale. So you can sell it right away and purchase it right back, offsetting those losses. But unfortunately, this loophole might be closed starting next year with the Build Back Better plan that Biden is trying to pass, that's passed through the House and is still waiting to be passed through the Senate. And that would make cryptocurrencies not exempt from the wash sale rule now. But even if it is closed after 2022, for now, you can still do it for the 2021 tax year. You can still trigger those wash sales. And I actually plan on taking advantage of that right till the end and triggering those loss events in order to offset as much taxes as I can. Now, that's just some strategies of how you can offset your taxes. But now you might be wondering, how the hell am I going to calculate all these cryptocurrency taxes? Considering that there's buying on exchanges, there's selling on exchanges, then you have NFTs on NFT marketplaces, you also have decentralized exchanges, and then you have wallets on multiple blockchains. It's insanely complex. Well, that's where CoinTracker or Koinly comes in. They're essentially two services that I've been toying around with in the past year. It essentially helps to keep track of all your transactions keep track of all your gains, your losses, and help to calculate your taxes for the next year. Essentially with CoinTracker and Koinly, you just sync up all your exchanges, you add your public addresses, and they do all the work and calculate all your taxes and what you might owe for capital gains. You take that CSV that they give you when tax season comes and you upload it into TurboTax, and boom bam, you're done. Now I will say it does get more expensive with the more transactions that you have on both of these platforms, but at the same time, if you've made a lot of money on cryptocurrency this past year in this bull run, I think it's worth shelling some of that money out so you don't have to deal with that headache when the IRS comes for you. But I will say that some manual effort will probably be necessary, considering that if you use multiple exchanges and wallets and all that kind of stuff like I have, it gets pretty complex because unfortunately some APIs don't exist for Crypto.com app or FTX Blockfolio. They only give you CSVs that you can upload, so they essentially don't have the APIs to sync your exchanges. Then there's some exchanges like Binance.us where essentially they have a terrible API that never updates, and I've had to update every transaction manually. And at the same time, getting a CSV from them for the time frame that you want is also such a headache. So there is some effort that you have to put into it, but I will say that CoinTracker and Koinly have made it so much easier. And I just want to make it clear that I'm not sponsored by them, as you can tell by my 69 subscribers, which, you know, you can help grow by hitting the subscribe button if you like this content. But if you do want a discount, I do have links in the description below where you can get a discount on CoinTracker or Koinly. Like I said, I'm not sponsored by them. I just really love their services. I've been using CoinTracker for the longest time, and I've been using Koinly only more recently and just trying to compare what might be better for my case. And you can do the same by looking at both of these platforms. Overall, I wanted to remind us of the lessons we learned from 2017 to 2018 for the people that were there, but also for the new investors that might just not know. And at the end of the day, I want to make sure that people don't owe the IRS hundreds of thousands of dollars that they can no longer afford to pay and then have to deal with that headache of how the hell am I going to pay this? I got to find a CPA and deal with all that. If you like the video, guys, please hit the like button. It really does help spread my channel. And if you want to see more content that has to do with crypto and tech or just investing, hit the subscribe button and leave me a comment below telling me what you think of the government getting rid of the wash sale rule for crypto. Do you think that they should, or do you think that they shouldn't because it's not a security? Anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video and happy holidays.